Welcome back, Speedromizer. We are getting set up for this Rebel Transmute run. Everything is going according to plan, so we've only got a few more minutes. Alrighty, folks. We work fast in the background, helps when we've already had the runner on. So we are ready now for this Rebel Transmute run by IllegallySam. Take it away.
Hello everybody, long time no see. I'm sure everybody was missing me very, very greatly during those like 10 minutes of break. But I'm back, I've got another run for you. This is Rebel Transmute. I will be doing an any percent run for you today of this game. For anybody who has never seen or heard of this game, you know, what are you doing? What do you mean you haven't heard of literally every indie game ever made? But no, this is an indie game that came out earlier this year, back in March. It is a 2D Metroidvania. It's a pretty fun game, very fun run. I enjoyed it a lot. I backed this game back on Kickstarter back in 2022, which is how it got on my radar. And then I speedran the demo back during the Kickstarter, then I waited for the game to come out. I speedran the game at launch, and then, you know, here we are. I did submit this to Speedromizer, but unfortunately the person who drew the game had to drop, which it's always unfortunate when that happens, but, you know, stuff happens, nothing wrong with that or anything, so instead I get to show it off for you today. So I figure, you know, before we start, I do want to ask, was the incentive for this game met? I can get it in like 5 minutes if people still want to donate if it hasn't been met, but I just want to ask before the run starts.
Not yet, no.
Okay. Well, you have about 5 minutes to get donations in if you want to see me go get a pet armadillopede. If you don't know what that means, donate money and you'll find out.
It sounds mildly horrifying. Let's find out.
It's not horrifying, it's actually cute and mildly useful.
Okay.
Because you get a pet.
I'll keep a close eye on it and let you know.
It's just a classic sci-fi / fantasy trope of mixing two animal names together to make a new animal. So, it's a caterpillar armadillo. Or a millipede, I guess.
Millipede.
Centipede.
Yeah, centipede.
That's what I meant, yeah. It's all same thing. They're all little bug dudes. But regardless, let's just hop into the run. So time will start after I clear this box right here. So I will give a countdown and we can get started. So time will start in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Good luck, good luck.
Thank you. Obviously we're going to be skipping all the cutscenes because you don't need story. That's what we learned from the last run, is that if you skip the cutscenes, the plot doesn't happen. So we're going to keep that going. Alright, but like I mentioned, this is a 2D Metroidvania, and in true Metroidvania fashion, movement is a huge aspect of this run, and thankfully in this run, we start schmoving right away. In, you know, some other games, you start out with just your basic kit, like you just move in the different directions, that's it. In this game, you start out with a ground slide. So basically, we can already dash on the ground, and as a result, we can schmoove real quick. So we can basically chain these together by jumping right after it and maintaining that speed in midair, and then when we land, we just do another one and keep doing that over and over again. And it makes movement in this game pretty satisfying, actually. But something we picked up back there in that first room is an augment. So what augments are in this game, they're kind of similar to like charms in Hollow Knight. That's the best analog, where you have a limited amount of slots, and you can pick those up, equip them, and they give you different effects depending on which ones you equip. That first one we equipped also relates to another mechanic that we got in the second room in the game, which is the ability to heal. So basically, we have a meter underneath our health in the top left there, which is our spark blood. If the spark blood is full, we can heal. And in order to get more spark blood, we have to damage enemies with our blaster. What that augment I picked up does is it lets us get more spark blood every single time we damage an enemy. So it is one of those augments that it is not at all required for me to get it for the run, but it takes like 5 seconds to grab and makes things slightly safer by letting me heal more often. So why not grab it? Alright. Here we're coming up to our first wave fight where we just have a bunch of enemies spawning and we have to kill all of them as fast as possible. The fastest possible thing is just the speedrun part. You can actually take as long as you want if you're playing casually. But we're not playing casually. Alright, this first room is, you know, it's the first wave fight of the game. It's going to keep things relatively simple. Not too hard, but it is definitely not easy to do that room as quickly as possible. Here we're gonna, you know, here's our crashed ship because, you know, we're on an alien planet. Obviously, the only reason you can get to an alien planet is by crashing there. Nobody ever lands on them intentionally in sci-fi stories.
Accurate.
So yeah, that's our crashed ship. We have to talk to it. It gives us a fuse. Oh, messed up that jump. There we go. And we need that fuse to open this door here. So another little quirk of movement in this game is that if you land from a super high height, you have like a little bit of landing lag where it like gives you a little stun animation when you land on the ground. It like takes a second to wear off, and then you can move again after that second's up. Obviously, I want to minimize that as much as possible because not being able to move for a second is slower than being able to move for a second. So obviously I'm minimizing that as much as possible, but a little quirk that the game has is if you either slide or shoot your blaster the moment before you land on the ground, you actually cancel that land lag. I don't know why it works, I just know it does. And as a result, you know, lets us save a little bit of time if I'm able to use that effectively anywhere. It's very tricky to do with the correct timing, so I don't do it that much, but I do it whenever I can. Alright, time for the first boss fight. I hope you like to count, because I'm going to be counting to about 31 or 32, so I will explain why after I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I'll stop there. Alright, so the reason I am getting this boss to a specific amount of hits is so that I can do this. So yeah, at 33 hits, this boss transitions to Phase 2, and if you transition him to Phase 2 while he's on the ground in that corner, he just gets stuck. And that makes Phase 2 absolutely trivial, and it saves about like 5 or 10 seconds if you get good attack RNG. Because in order for it... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that little cutscene that popped up, that was the giant like machine person we talked to a few rooms back that opened a door for us. She'll be talking to us a bit throughout the run, and we were going to be skipping that dialogue. But yeah, that boss fight, you know, obviously you could just do Phase 2 as intended, but if you get good RNG, it is faster to do that, and it's also way funnier to do that. Unfortunately, you know, if the boss just doesn't want to cooperate and doesn't do the correct attacks, you just either wait or deal with it, which can lose you a good amount of time. You get very, very unlucky, but most of the time it's not too bad. Alright, and then also back there we got our first upgrade. This first upgrade is also like the least useful one because this first upgrade is literally just to get to this next area. Because this upgrade upgrades our blaster so that we're able to destroy those like little gelatinous bubble blocks. Oh no, I forgot to turn off my Xbox notifications. Oh well. Well, now everybody knows that I have reward points to collect for Microsoft Rewards. Not that big a deal, it's just a annoyance. Alright, now we can do this. So yeah, that is not a gap we're normally supposed to jump across, because this next ability we're going to be getting is an air dash, and so that is supposed to be like the way back in true more Metroidvania fashion, where it's like, oh, here's a way you can't go, but now you have the next ability, you can travel this way. Yeah, so what I did there, I can't explain why it works, but if you do some shenanigans where if you like hold a down angle on the D-pad, then jump up to that ledge up above and then land just on the platform and then keep holding down left on the D-pad after dashing, for some reason it just gives you super speed. I don't know why. Again, it's just like, it works, so I do it. And it's fast, so... Alright. But now we've already got our next boss fight. This is the Carapace. This boss is a bit funny because it's supposed to be a boss where it has like a bunch of different attacks. You have to like try and dodge those attacks based on which one it's using. But if you know what you're doing, it's actually one of the easiest boss fights in the game. Because what happens is when it has those red particles around it, that means it's enraged, basically. And it's an enraged pattern is the exact same attack over and over again. In order to make him enraged, you just have to do enough damage to him in a row, but without like letting things progress too far in the fight. So if you just keep him enraged for the entire fight, he just does this one attack over and over again. He never does anything else. Which is why this fight is so easy. Ah, dang, he got an attack off before I got him back into his enraged state. Alright. If I had done enough damage while he was enraged each time, he actually would have gotten like those first 2 attacks off, and then he wouldn't have had any other attacks for the entire fight after that, but I didn't quite optimize my damage as much as I could have. But regardless, keep him enraged, and that fight's really easy. And now we have an air dash. It's an air dash.
It's really good and helps you break the game more?
It's mostly just good because it's an air dash.
Okay.
Whenever I do runs of this game in a marathon, I always give that explanation. Because it's literally just an air dash. There's, obviously it's got some fun shenanigans that can happen with it, and it's obviously really good for movement, but it's very self-explanatory. You can dash in the air.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing it does is if you use it before you land, it obviously will let you cancel the landing lag that I mentioned earlier. So while the janky landing lag cancel still is a thing that I can do, it's obviously just way easier to just now do an air dash instead and cancel it that way. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Alright, this guy's just being annoying. I'm gonna do a safety heal. I don't need to heal there, but I'm gonna do it just in case. Because I'm gonna be stopping at like one of the the save stations pretty quick. And if I do that, obviously it'll just, give me full health again. But just to be safe in case I mess something up along the way, I'm gonna not be at 1 health.
That seems like a wise plan.
Because I damage boost... Okay, well, I normally damage boost through there. I messed it up, apparently. And that's why I'm glad I healed. Because now I get to do it again. Alright. So this save station is one of the most important ones in the run. Because from this point forward, we're going to be coming back there a lot. Because when you die in this game, you respawn at the last station you used. And what that means is, if we die, we warp back there. So we're going to be using that to our advantage as much as possible. Also, we are coming up on where I would get the pet armadillipede, so did we get any closer to meeting that?
No last-minute donations towards it, no.
Darn.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are missing out, because this little green enemy here, this is an armadillipede. We would have had a friendly one just follow us around for the rest of the run, but I guess it wasn't meant to be.
Oh, it's way cuter than I was expecting.
Yeah, like I said, it's a friend. Alright. Something else to note about healing in this game is when you heal, it plays like that short little 1-second animation of you healing and you can't move during it. Nothing too out of the ordinary or anything, but if you are able to heal the same frame you go through a loading zone, you can actually overlap the animation of going to the next room with the animation of healing, and it just basically cuts out that second where you're spent healing because it does it during the transition between rooms instead. It is very precise, very difficult to do consistently. I don't get it most of the time, but if you are able to get it, it looks a little goofy and you're able to save like 1 second. It's one of those like super minor optimizations that, ideally you never have to do it because you don't get hit. But if you do get hit, it's a small little thing you can do. Alright. Here we're coming up on the first and only fast travel station that I will be unlocking during the run. Because this game does have a fast travel system. There's one back here where I have to activate this terminal, and because it's the first one that I've activated, I have to talk to the actual fast travel robot, and now that fast travel station is open. From here on out, I will not be unlocking any more fast travel stations because I don't really have to return anywhere, but this specific one is useful because I will be coming back here later in the run, and by later in the run, I mean like literally the last thing I do before the final boss, so it'll be useful for that specifically. This room has heavy wind blowing, so I have to be a little careful while moving through here. Thankfully, it's not like too complicated to get through once you know what you're doing, but it is definitely easy to mess up and get hit. All right, time for the next boss fight. This is the most riveting phase 1 of any boss you'll ever see. Get ready for it. So first, we jump on top of the boss and start shooting down.
With you so far. This is good.
Okay, I actually got some bad RNG there, so that's unfortunate. Ideally, the bit would have been I just keep bouncing on him, and that's the entire phase. But I got bad RNG, so I fell. Okay, that's phase 1. Like I said, the riveting phase 1.
Yep.
Phase 2 is more of an actual boss fight. This is what we affectionately call the sniper moth, because it shoots lasers at you, and the lasers will always snipe you.
That seems accurate. That's a lot of lasers.
Yeah. So ideally, we two-cycle this boss, where if you hit both of its wings, it will fall down, and you can just do a whole bunch of damage to it while it tries and gets in a couple extra attacks against you. And, you know, if you do the attacks correctly, you will always two-cycle it. But if you do too much damage, you can actually lose a little bit of time, because the way the attack cycles work for this boss is after you do enough damage, its attack pattern while it's on the ground changes. But if you do that threshold of damage while it's already on the ground attacking you, it'll do those attacks immediately after the attacks you were just experiencing. And that loses time because you miss out on that, like, whole drop animation where, like, you hit him after he falls on the ground. And you're also not able to kill him during those attacks anyway, so you have to go through the whole second wing cycle anyway. So it's just a bunch of time where you're not able to damage him because he's attacking you. And so I specifically tried to not do enough damage in that phase 1, or the first cycle, to not have that be a problem. Alright. So this game has a very useful feature that I think more games should have. It's a force respawn button. If you press the force respawn button, you die. So it makes death warping and stuff like that very easy in this game, because you just hit force respawn and you go back to the last station you were at.
That is really handy.
So yeah, when I mentioned we would be death warping, you know, we don't even have to, like, go find enemies or hazards or anything and lower our health. No, we can just press a button and we're back. There we go. But to explain a little bit how death works in this game, in, like, similar to, like, games like Hollow Knight or, like, Dark Souls, stuff like that, you drop something where you die, and you have to get back to where you died in order to pick it up. But what you drop in this game is you drop a health core. What that means is, when you drop that health core until you get back to where you died, you have less maximum health. So if I were to die right now, I would go down from 4 max health down to 3. And I have to get back to where I died in order to pick it up. Alternatively, at the checkpoint, you can spend 50 red flux, which is the money for this game. And if you spend 50 red flux, you instead just are able to pay that and instantly get your health core back. And so that is what I'm going to be doing whenever I drop health cores in this game, because that is faster than actually making my way back to somewhere that I don't need to be. As a result, though, that does require me to pick up money throughout the run, because there is a set of augments that are like the default augments, where if you start the game with them equipped, and you can unequip them to, like, unequip, like, basic features of the game. So you can unequip, like, your GPS on the map, you can unequip your HUD, you can unequip your ability to heal, and you can unequip your ability to drop health cores. If you unequip your ability to drop health cores, you don't drop them anymore, but every time you die, you lose half your money instead. And since I need to buy something later in the run to make things faster, for now I need to deal with losing my health cores, which, while unfortunate and slower than not having to deal with that, you know, getting the extra money to do that is better than just missing out on that upgrade that I purchased in a little bit. Alright, this boss is really annoying. Because basically when he's dark blue, you can just attack him like as a normal boss, but when he's light blue, he bounces around, and it makes him really hard to hit. So ideally, once he turns dark blue the first time, you do enough damage to like send him through his different phase cycles to just keep him dark blue for the entire fight. But if you don't do enough damage, he'll turn teal again and just kind of deal with it. Alright. But for defeating him, we get the most important upgrade of the run. The last boss gives a bomb. I forgot to mention that. It's a bomb. You shoot it, it blows stuff up, and it gives us an extra damage source. This is the bounce. It lets us bounce on the ground. And in addition to, you know, bouncing on the ground, it also lets us do this. Whee! So yeah, this is what we call a super bounce. Alright, these guys are being unkind. So what a super bounce is basically if you press the bounce button while you're already standing on the ground, and then press jump a tiny little bit after you press bounce and leave the ground, you do a super bounce, which just sends you super high. The reason that works is because after launch, the developer for this game made some adjustments to the game's forgiveness mechanics, so that like you'd be able to jump like after walking off the edge of a platform slightly easier. All right, these guys are not being nice. That guy, okay. These guys, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright, so what I wanted to do was not that. I will have to do some stuff on the fly to make up for that. It's not the end of the world or anything, it's just a little unfortunate. It's about like 2 minutes of time loss, a minute or two of time loss, something like that. But yeah, the super bounce works because the adjustment made to the forgiveness mechanics basically made it so that, you know, when you bounce off the ground, you still have a little bit of time to input a jump, and if you input the jump, you just add that jump height to the bounce height, and you just fly through the air. It is really fun to use, it's really funny looking, and it's obviously really useful for destroying the many platforming challenges in this game. The reason why that was so unfortunate is because I was trying to like take a back path in order to get back to this area here. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I'm specifically trying to get a augment here. And that augment is required for the route that I use throughout this run. Because it is a augment that gives you the ability to double jump. A double jump in this game is not a normal ability, it is in fact an augment, so basically I have to make it up here, use my bombs, use my bounce, my super bounce, do it again because I accidentally fell, so you get to see it all over again, which is just, you know, just an extra bonus for all of you at home. Because an interaction between bombs and the bounce in this game is bombs, like, do affect you with their explosion, so they do push you around. But a consequence of that is if you bounce on an active bomb that, like, was placed on the ground, it just launches you through the air as well, just like a super bounce does, just in a slightly different way. And if you combine the two of them and do a super bomb bounce, you go even higher. I did a few of those in that room if you didn't see them, but I will be doing more of them later if you did miss them. Unfortunately, because I died one more time than I was expecting to, I do have to get a little bit extra money because I have slightly less than I normally do. Not a huge deal, I just have to like kill an extra enemy later. Excuse me. Alright, so the reason I'm killing this enemy here is because this enemy is tied to the locked door back in the area immediately prior to this. And in order to open that door, I had to kill that enemy. And the reason I want to open that door is because this augment that I'm getting here is one of the most important ones in the run. This is Wave Blaster. You notice how my blaster normally just has the single shot, it shoots out right in front of me, has nothing really special about it beyond that. Wave Blaster turns into a shotgun cone. And so what that means is, now once I equip it, I will be doing the initial blast, and then it'll also have 4 additional blasts to the sides of it at angles, and each one of those shots does a quarter of the damage of my normal shot. And so if I hit somebody with the main shot and all of the extra shots, that does 2 times as much damage. In addition to that, each of those extra shots also gives me spark blood. So if I hit an enemy with every single one of my shots, I basically get a full spark blood meter immediately. And so from this point forward, I will basically always have full spark blood, and I will also be doing 2 times as much damage thanks to Wave Blaster. And then that damage upgrade I just bought from that bot right there for 150 flux, that gives me an extra 50% damage increase. So put them together, and I'm doing 3 times as much damage from this point forward.
That's quite the force multiplier.
Exactly. I also forgot to equip a Wave Blaster, so I'll do that at the next checkpoint. Not a huge deal. You don't need it until like the next boss fight. Also, I had to interact with that terminal right there because story. Interacting with that terminal gives us like a little AI companion called Quirk. And we need Quirk in order to do the story thing, which is, in order to reach the final boss, we have to go ahead and reactivate 3 subsystems around the map. And in order to reactivate those subsystems, we need to have Quirk with us. So we have to stop by that terminal, grab her, and then we can actually move towards finishing the game. Because now that we have most of our upgrades, we can actually start making our way towards the objectives. And while we are definitely not done getting upgrades, there's still 2 more that we're going to be grabbing. The most important one is the bounce, and now that we have that, we can go almost everywhere. But first, we have to make our way down to the mines. The mines has the ability to wall climb. And while the ability to wall climb is very useful, just because we are supposed to use it to get through some rooms doesn't mean that's how we're going to be getting through. So what I mean by that is there's a room coming up here, which is the most infamous trick in the game, and also the most difficult trick in the game. It is Mine Skip. The reason why Mine Skip is a big deal is basically in a similar fashion to a Quarry Skip earlier. Basically, there is a room where it's like the way out of the area, where you get the wall climb, and then you can make your way through that room. And we, not supposed to be able to get through that room without wall climb. And so we're going to get through it without wall climb and just go to the end of this area instead of the way we're supposed to go. However, in order to do that, there is a switch behind a wall. We can't hit that switch. These teleporting enemies that shoot random shots and teleport randomly, and everything about them is random, they can hit that switch. And so we just kind of have to sit here and hope that they hit it. Thankfully, they were kind. The RNG was nice to me. They hit it pretty quickly. And now we could do Mine Skip proper. So what I'm doing here, I'm going to do the trick first, and then explain it. That's not making it. Alright, so what I'm doing here is I'm basically firing a bomb at the wall, double jumping above it, and then pausing the game. Pausing the game makes it so that the bomb timer continues to tick down, but when you unpause the game, it immediately explodes. And so if you do that while you're right above it while double jumping, by using the momentum from the bomb itself plus the double jump's momentum sends you super high into the air, and you're able to clear every single one of those walls that you're not supposed to be able to get over. And that's Mine Skip. That is the hardest trick in the game. I made it look easy. It is not easy. It takes a lot of practice to get that timing down. And on top of that, the RNG was nice to me. I've had that RNG be so much worse than it was here. The worst I've seen that RNG is like, I'm sitting there for like a full minute and a half, 2 minutes. If they're really mean to you, you'll take damage there and you have to like go take a safety checkpoint just so you don't die to them. I've had to do that a lot as well. And so thankfully, I didn't have to grab the safety checkpoint, and I didn't have to wait too long for them to attack me and hit the switch. Because that safety checkpoint loses about 30 seconds to go grab. And so thankfully, I didn't have to do that. Alright, now that we've cleared phase 1 of the sentient drill Goliath... Okay. I'm gonna play it safe, heal, because those drills were being very mean to me. Yeah, phase 2 is very easy. If you YOLO it and have full health, you can kill it before it even goes down into the lava a single time, because the damage increases that we have make it so we shred that boss. Alright, and now we have the wall climb. And now that we have the wall climb, if you thought Mines being the hardest area in the game because it has the hardest trick and then it also has the hardest normal movement wasn't bad enough, it also has 2 bosses in this area that we have to fight. That was the first one. We had to fight it so we can get the climb, but this next one isn't required because it gives us an ability. It's hard required because it literally opens doors for us. There's a handful of locked doors that we need to open, and the only way to open those doors is by killing this next boss. And the only way to progress the game is by opening those doors, because one of the subsystems is locked behind that door, and one of the later areas that I have to go to is also locked behind these doors. So we have to go kill this next boss, and in order to do that, we have to climb up this giant tower. Also, fun little thing with the bomb is that the bomb has significantly more range than the normal blaster shot, so we're able to hit switches from a very far distance using it. Normally I would have had to like go up right next to that switch in order to hit it, but I could just use the bomb from super far away instead. Alright, this room is going to have a few super bomb bounces, so we're going to go absolutely flying into the air. Alright. This room is one of those rooms where it's like super annoying to do this room casually, but once you know a way to get through it pretty quick, it's actually not too bad. But until that point, this room is very frustrating. But by combining my bounce and a lot of bounces on top of the bounce itself, because super bounces are a thing, and then also the bomb, we can make it up to Cerebellum. It's a giant head in like a UFO container thing, so it's just gotta fly around and be annoying. This is one of those boss fights where this boss fight's not hard, it's just very easy for it to be slow. Because since it can just fly around the entire arena wherever it wants, it's very easy for it to just not want to be in a convenient spot for you to hit it. And as a result, you kind of just have to chase it down. And depending on what attack patterns it uses, chasing it down causes you to get hit. Like I said, thankfully this boss fight's not too hard, so it's like, it's definitely not literally free or anything, but it's far from the hardest boss in the run as well. So like, I'm not super worried about dying, but I'm also not gonna play super recklessly either, because I have died to this boss fight before. He is not playing nice, and being in convenient spots for me to hit. And then he keeps shooting lasers at me.
It's very rude.
Alright, now, and once he goes like outside the arena like that, where he like goes like below the bottom of the arena or above the top of it, you just kind of have to wait for it to come back. It's not really anything you do. But phase 2 starts, and he turns into a Beyblade.
Classic boss. Just spin to win.
Yeah, let it rip. Alright, I'm taking more damage here than I would like, so I'm going to play it a little safe with my heals. Yeah, phase 2 is a little bit nicer because he does have attacks that chase you down, but that doesn't make this phase like free or anything. You still have to be a little careful when you're at low health. And you know, a lot of the attacks are a lot harder to dodge in this phase.
Yeah, a couple of these seem pretty rough.
There we go. And then once he's dead, we can just immediately force respawn. Like, we don't even have to wait for the animation to finish, because the animation finishes while we're force respawning. So yeah, that boss is far from like being super difficult or anything, but is a very difficult boss fight to do quickly. So I lose a lot of time on that boss fight pretty regularly, because he just doesn't cooperate. But now that we have opened those doors, we can make our way to the last part of the mines, which is where the subsystem is. And we're going to be doing a lot of stuff that's not intended, because we're supposed to have the super dash ability right now. We don't have the super dash ability. We're not going to get the super dash ability. So by using the ability to bounce off of enemies, as well as the ability to, you know, dash, super bomb bounces, wall climb, double jump, our whole kit, we're able to get through this area without having the super dash and get to the subsystem without it. Alright, there's that door that Cerebellum opened for us. Yeah, basically you can just dash across here, and thanks to having double jump, that's the only reason we're able to make some of these jumps, which is why it's required for the route we use. Alright, now it's time for the first subsystem. The subsystems are pretty simple. They're basically just like, there's a bunch of switches that turn on, and you have to activate all of the switches at the same time. Each of them has a timer once you activate them, and you just have to make it so that every single switch is active before any of their timers run out. It's pretty easy to do, but casually, you know, when you don't know the switches are, and you don't know the movement as well, this room specifically is actually the hardest one. But thankfully, I know where they all are, and I know how to move through the room quickly, so we don't have to worry too much. And now we get to actually see how this room was supposed to look. Because remember, I skipped this room using Mind Skip. Now I have the climb. This is how you're supposed to go through this room. You're supposed to, you know, dash and then touch the wall and use the wall climb. That's way more boring. That's not interesting. Alright, so that is the first subsystem down. There's 2 more subsystems to get, or reactivate, and I'm going to be making my way to the next one. But as I make my way out of the mines here, it's just going to be a lot of platforming, so if you have anything you want to read, now's a good time.
Sure. Just a reminder, everybody, you are watching Speedromizer, the marathon where what you submit is not what you play. So this is not the right example of a run for this, but typically our runners have learned the games over the last 90 days, and if that sounds interesting or fun to you, head on over to speedromizer.live/Discord and join our Discord to stay up to date on what we're up to, when we're live, when the events are happening, all that fun jazz. In the meantime, we are a charity marathon, so if you do !donate in the chat, otherwise head on over to speedromizer.live/donate. We have our Tiltify open. It'll be open all this week. We have weekend 2 coming up, so you can catch us starting next Friday, as well as sticking around through the end of this run and giving IllegallySam some support.
Alright. I would highly recommend submitting to Speedromizer. It's good fun. Maybe you'll even get this game next marathon.
There, that's a great incentive. This does look like a lot of fun.
I know, this is actually a really fun game. It's like, even casually, it's just the fact that you have such a wide movement kit, even not using stuff like the super bounce, which is obviously not intended, just using the basic movement kit once you have all the abilities is just a lot of fun, which makes this game very fun to move through. And the fact that you start with the slide dash from like literally the first moment of the run means, you know, you're never feeling like anything's too slow. Because I know that's like a common complaint with some Metroidvanias, is like, man, everything felt so slow until I finally got the dash.
Yeah,
I don't have that problem here.
Start with the dash, easy.
Alright, so here I'm moving through the subways. I used one last checkpoint station because that is the last one I'm going to be using for the entire run. And therefore, I'm going to be teleporting back there a lot, because we're going to be using it a lot for that. But in the meantime, we have to make our way through the subways here. The subways have their own fast travel system, where there's 4 like subway stations that open up, and in order to open them, you literally just have to enter the room where the subway station is. So there's a subway station in this room here, and it's open because I entered the room. We'll be using it a little bit later, but not too much. Also, we're able to hit this switch through a wall with a bomb, so thankfully we don't have to worry about any enemy RNG shenanigans or anything. So the thing about this area is the way you're intended to go through this section is you're supposed to go to the right-hand side of the area. There's a terminal that you have to interact with, and when you interact with the terminal, it like opens a bunch of valves like for these like tubes of water, and then once those are open, you're able to make your way to where the upgrade in this area is and where the boss is, and where the subsystem is. However, if you sequence break and open that door early, there's no valve caps on this path. And so therefore, I don't have to go interact with that terminal at all, and I can just go straight to the end of this area instead, and it saves a lot of time. The one consequence is I do have to do this wave fight here, which I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's not that slow. These enemies, thankfully, aren't the worst thing in the world. As long as I don't get blasted by a bomb into the damaged area, you know, nothing too bad's going on. Dang. I'm really hoping I'm able to get like the heal overlap with the loading zone one time during the run, but unfortunately I'm not. Not a huge deal though. Alright, so now that we've made it through, this room here is the one that connects to both the boss and the subsystem. I need to defeat the boss and get an upgrade in order to actually get this subsystem completed. So we're gonna go fight the boss. It would be nice if I wasn't on 2 health, but it's fine, because this is also the easiest boss fight in the game. This is the fish boss. Because you can't have a Metroidvania without a fish boss.
Gotta have that underwater section.
Yeah, this is Barathrum. We call him the fish boss, because Barathrum is too difficult to remember. But yeah, the reason this boss fight is the easiest boss fight in the game is because after every single attack, he just gives you time to heal. So you can just face tank every single attack that he does, and then heal. And in addition to that, he doesn't even have that much health. So he's dead already. There's a reason I call that the easiest boss fight in the run. Even easier than the first boss, where you get stuck in a corner and he can't do anything. Alright, but for defeating him, we obtain the ability to swim faster. So the swimming in this game is actually pretty interesting, because it's not like your normal swim where it's just like you hold a button, you swim faster. In this game, it's kind of like an underwater swim dash. So we're gonna see that in just a moment. First, we bounce through that room, because by entering that room while in the bounce state, we immediately start falling at full speed. And so we can just cruise through that room way faster. And then activate this terminal, and now we can swim. And now we have the underwater dash. And also, if you hold the A button and spam the dash button, it just recharges way faster than it's supposed to. Because every time by holding A, you're doing like the normal swim movement, and every time you swim normally, it recharges the dash automatically. And so by holding A and spamming the trigger, it's just constant recharges. Also, we're not doing this room as intended. We do a super bomb bounce. Because another feature of the swim that you're not going to see in this run, because we don't have to use it thanks to super bomb bouncing, but if you fall into water from like a super high height, it has a sort of like shine spark ability where it'll store that momentum underwater, and then when you pop out of the water, it'll just give you a ton of momentum in the air. So in this room, you're supposed to like drop down on the one side, pop up on the other, and then make it your way up to where that one switch was in the top left. But yeah, we don't have to do that. So yeah, now that we've activated the second subsystem, Quirk was just like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this anymore, so I'm gonna leave. So in order to activate the third subsystem, we have to figure out how to do it without Quirk. So we have to make a quick detour. And that'll include going through the rest of the subways. Which is fine by me, because now that we have the swim, moving through water is actually really fast. This is one of the few this is like, not every game has like a swim ability that's like really fun to use. Sometimes it gets the job done. You know, it lets you swim faster, lets you travel in water quickly, but like this game, it's actually legitimately a lot of fun to use. Because like if you dash out of the water, it keeps your momentum. The Shine Spark ability is just a lot of fun to mess around with, and it is required for like a couple optional upgrades. So obviously you're not seeing it in any percent, but if this were, you know, 100% or a casual playthrough, you'd have to use it. Unfortunately, we don't actually get to use it that much, because that is literally the only other time we use it. There is no more swimming. But the short amount of time we used it for is fun, at least.
Something to look forward to every run.
Exactly. Alright, these enemies are being annoying. And I'm gonna need to heal, because I am at very low health. And I do not want to be at low health for this next room, because this next room is very annoying. Because there's a bunch of turrets, they fire homing bullets at you, and you have to, if you don't want to sit there and kill every single one of these turrets, you have to dodge them. And that is easier said than done. Because at a certain point, I just start face tanking them, and thankfully I actually only took 1 damage there, but Yeah, that room's very annoying. Alright, so in order to activate the last subsystem, we have to make my way up here. There's a chair I have to sit in. Because I'm tired. All I need to do is take a short rest, and then I'm able to activate the subsystem. That's definitely all that's happening.
Totally.
Also, there's a platforming section here. We skip it. Yeah, so that's like if you played Hollow Knight, that's kind of like a Dreamnail segment where like all the platforms appear as you get close. Gotta jump on them, make your way through. Yeah, if we just super bomb bounce over the top, we can just get straight to the end. And now we get to go activate the last subsystem. And you know what that means? If you were paying attention about 35 minutes ago, we get to use the fast travel station.
Woo!
So yeah, the reason we have to do this is because there is the last subsystem, which is up in the area above the overgrowth here, and therefore the easiest way to get there from the subways is to just take the fast travel station, which is why we unlock it. Oops. So yeah, this is the area where we're supposed to get the super dash, but like I said earlier, we're not getting it. We don't actually need it to finish the game. So it's gonna look like a few spots where it's like, yeah, I could definitely see how you're supposed to have the super dash here. But we have the normal dash, we have double jump, we have wall climb, that's more than enough. Yeah, fun fact, even casually, I did this section without the super dash, and I got the super dash after reactivating the subsystem. Alright. Also, something I didn't mention is, before every single subsystem, there was like this weird room that definitely looks like enemies should spawn there. And that's because they are rooms that enemies should spawn in. Basically, after you activate a subsystem, on the way out, those rooms like become a wave fight. But because we're just force respawning our way out of here, we skip those rooms entirely, we never have to do them. Because force respawn is the best feature. Alright, because we have to reactivate this last subsystem ourselves, we have to go into the system and do it. What that means is we have to, like, in this area there's a bunch of platforms, we have to make our way to 3 specific enemies, kill those enemies. After defeating the enemies, a bunch more platforms show up and it'll let us get to the exit. The exit's there all the time, so we can just super bomb bounce up to it and leave immediately. And if that wasn't enough, there's a second one of that right after. We could just force respawn in this one, and then it immediately puts us outside, and we don't have to do it.
Well, that's nice.
Alright, now we can do the final boss.
Totally intended, yeah. Great.
Alright, so this is the second time we're using the subways here to go back to the left. And now we can go fight the final boss. There's nothing else to do along the way. So if you have any last minute things to read, now's the perfect time.
Nothing too urgent here. Just thanks everybody for coming out and supporting Speedromizer. This will be our last run of the night, so as soon as IllegallySam says time here, we're going to be finding somebody to raid and doing our goodbyes. So thanks for coming out. Appreciate it. It's been a good day. I'm looking forward to next weekend.
Alright, so I grabbed that checkpoint there just for safety. I'm not worried about dying during the final boss, but just in case, that way I don't have to make the whole trek back. Alright, now it's time for the final boss. First we skip the cutscenes, obviously, because we don't care who the final boss is. It'll tell us anyway, so it doesn't matter. This is the Corporate AI Hive. This is basically the thing... But yeah, this is basically the thing that's been controlling everything all throughout the game so far. But yeah, this thing has 2 phases. Phase 1 is like pretty easy, but it's actually deceptively difficult because it's very difficult to do quickly. So while I'm able to like do this fight pretty quickly, it's very easy to accidentally take damage while trying to maximize your damage. And if you do that, obviously you have more than enough time to heal, but you still have to spend time healing, which loses you time. All right. But it's just teleporting around a bunch. It's got its list of attacks. You just gotta make sure you don't get hit by. There we go, and that's phase 1 done. Like I said, easy, but it's difficult to do fast. Phase 2 is difficult to do casually, but easy to do fast, because it grows legs. Yeah, basically, this phase is very, very easily telegraphed, so once you know what to look for, it is very easy to get through this fight without taking too much damage. But casually, before you know that, this fight really only has like one safe spot to heal. And so if you do get hit, good luck, because you aren't going to be able to heal it off very easily. Alright. But this is... Oh, well, that's unfortunate. I'm just going to face tank it and do some extra damage, I guess. Whoops. Oops. Well, then it does its this desperation move, which is actually not a good desperation move because it kind of just lets us do a bunch of damage to it. Or at least it would have if I wasn't like trying not to get hit because I was on low health. Yeah, if I was at full health after the desperation move, I would actually just be able to face tank for the rest of the fight. Okay, there we go. And time will be after I skip the last cutscene. So time's coming up. Time.
GG's.
All right. And that was Rebel Transmute any %. Yeah. That was not my best final boss fight. That was good enough. Unfortunate that I died a little bit during the run, but it's not the end of the world. That was still a more than solid showcase of the game. And I hope everyone else agrees and had a good time watching it. I will say, keep an eye on the credits because I backed this game on Kickstarter. I am in there. And then also, during the Kickstarter... with the demo, there was a demo speedrun contest, so I'm also in the demo because I speedran, or also in the credits because I speedran the demo. So if you look after the localization, I believe, is when it lists the speedrunners. Speedrun winners, any %. There I am in 3rd place. Because I didn't have enough time to get a better time than that. Because I waited too long to actually do it. Alright. But yeah, if anybody is interested in seeing more from me, whether it be Rebel Transmute or any other game that I play, because I do speedrun some other stuff, feel free to check me out over at twitch.tv/IllegallySam. This game is supposed to get a big overhaul update sometime this month, so odds are that'll change the route and I'll do a few runs of this game to see what's different and how much faster it is now. But if you are interested in picking up this game, it is available on, I'm pretty sure, every console and PC. Like I said, it came out back in March of this year, and I think it's $20 full price, but, you know, games go on sale if you wanted to wait. And it's just a pretty fun Metroidvania. I just recommend it casually, but if you did want to try speedrunning it, also, funny thing, because of the difference between the speedrun timer at the top there and the file timer said 47 minutes, and the in-game speedrun timer said 48. Because the file timer doesn't count the time I spent paused, but if you pause the game with the speedrun timer on, speedrun timer keeps ticking. Because we do use that in-game timer at the top of the screen for leaderboard placements. But yeah, if you want to speedrun this game, we have a Discord. It's linked on the SRC page. If it seems fun to you, give it a try. We'll be happy to help. We don't have any tutorials, really, but we have a lot of videos of like specific tricks. I have more than a couple commentated runs that would be able to help out as well, obviously. Just reach out to me if you wanted to learn more about it. I'm always open to help people out if they wanted to try learning stuff. So if this interests you, or if you just had a fun time watching, you know, that's fine as well. But thanks for letting me still showcase this run, even though you know, somebody unfortunately had to drop out instead. The person who was supposed to learn it.
Glad we got to see it. This is it's a cool looking game. It was a great looking run. Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah. And thanks for having me in general and letting me do 2 runs in a row.
yeah, glad it worked out. All right, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the run. Rebel Transmute by IllegallySam. All right, Speedromizer. This is bringing us to the close of the day. It's been a great weekend. I'm really happy even with some of the last minute shuffles, some of the last minute changes in the scheduling, some moving things to weekend 2. Things have gone really well, and I'm really, really proud of all the runners who have made it out, been able to showcase their games, whether it was something new that they learned or something that they wanted someone to learn, we're willing to help them out. That's most of what this is all about, is getting together, finding something that you might not have tried otherwise, learning how to do a speed run, learning how to do some behind the scenes tech, basically just being involved with speedrunning as a hobby. And I'm so happy that we're all here doing this. In addition, I am super happy that we can be supporting a great charity, community. So far we have hit $701.01. So this is fantastic for where we're trying to get to. We do have a few targeted goals that we would like to meet. First of which is the Subnautica fish puns from Tempest. We have plenty of room to get additional fish puns. It is a tradition and it is important that we get as many fish puns as possible. So when you do exclamation point donate in the chat or head over to speedromizer.live/donate, you can put your money towards our various incentives. So I love that we've made it this far. I'd love to see what we can do in weekend 2. Weekend 2 will be starting November 22nd at roughly 10 a.m. Central Time. So if you head over to our schedule, you can find whatever that time zone is for you and figure out where we are in your day. But we will be back November 22nd. We'll be kicking it off with a Minecraft Bedrock Edition run, immediately followed by, and I love these runs because they're so broken, Divinity Original Sin 2. So that will be, both of those runs will be fabulous. Really, really looking forward to it, but we've got a whole extra weekend of speedrunning content from more people who have learned games in a short time frame, and we would just love to have you around once again, starting on Friday, November 22nd. So, with all of that said, with all of the weekend behind us, I think we are almost ready to find our raid target and kick everybody over to another welcome streamer. And I have been Seriously Surly. I've been your host for the evening, and we have been Speedromizer. Thank you so much for watching, and I really look forward to seeing you all next weekend. Appreciate it. Have a good week, everybody. I'm out.